the law just by who you live with or even who your children are.
In a 16 WAPT special report, Allie Ware explains two laws that are still in the books could change society, marriages, and families if they're enforced.
You may not know it, but thousands of Mississippians are breaking a law almost as old as the state.
Living with someone and engaging in habitual intercourse is, in fact, a crime in Mississippi today, as the law is written on the books.
Mississippi is one of 4 states with a so-called shack-up law. The adultery and fornication law from 1848 says the state could send you to jail for 6 months if you have sex out of wedlock.
If that was to be enforced, probably 70% of Jackson or less than that would probably be in jail.
And another law from 1942 says it's illegal to have more than one child out of wedlock. Mark Chen is a divorce attorney who says these laws, they're hard to argue.
The United States Supreme Court has stated that the place of the courts is not in the bedroom, and sexual preferences and the way people conduct themselves in the bedroom is not the business of government.
Matt Friedman is a seminary professor. He says these laws would improve society if the state enforced them.
If you want to live by the Christian worldview, no, you can't do these things. You shouldn't be doing these things.
Mark Chen says even though he has seen one of these laws stand in court and be effective, he says for someone to actually enforce them, that just wouldn't be doable.
Trying to enforce these laws would be a lot like trying to stop texting and driving. Everybody's doing it, and everybody knows everybody's doing it, and so it would be almost impossible to police.
We asked people all over the capital city whether they think Mississippi should enforce these love laws.
That's a dreamer question. It'd be nice. I mean, that would be beautiful. But I think this country is probably going way too far in terms of moral consciousness.
There's a lot of people that has children that have been living with each other for years and years upon each other, and they're not married and they've been happy. A lot of people get married, move in with each other, and they get divorced so quickly.
In 2011, 48.1% of the children born in Mississippi were born out of wedlock. But we couldn't find one contemporary case where that so-called illegitimate child law has ever been used in the state.
The child is taken care of, then that's fine, but still illegitimate children is not something that should be encouraged.
A 2014 Gallup poll ranked Mississippi as the most religious state in the country. 61% of Mississippi residents say they are very religious.
Self-imposed enforcement because of a system of values should be foundational to all that.
It lines up with the Word of God.
Do you think that if you are a Christian that you should be living by these laws anyway?
It's not just the Bible. It's also good social science research. There's no question about it that the best place for a child to be raised is with a mother and a dad that love each other and are together in a home with these children.
How would that change society? How would that change cases you see?
Well, it would really be something to see if someone tried to enforce this, because of the amount of people that are having unprotected sex outside of marriage. I suspect that any district attorney that tried to enforce this kind of law would probably have a tough time getting reelected.
I think there's always sacrifice to be made to live morally.
In Jackson, Allie Ware, 16 WAPT News.